Hello, I'm Denee Evans, the CEO of the Council of Multiple Listing Services, or CMLS for short, and we all love our acronyms. And joining me is Brad Bjelke. Brad.
Thanks, Denee. I'm Brad Bjelke. I am the CEO of UtahRealEstate.com. We're a 18,000 member MLS covering the state of Utah. And I'm also the 2020 chair of the Council of Multiple Listing Services.
Thanks, Brad. And just for anyone, the Council Multiple Listing Service is the National Trade Association for MLSs. We have just over 200 MLSs serving about 1.3 million subscribers across the country and Canada. And we are here to give you a little update on what CMLS is up to, what we've been working on, and what we're looking to do going forward. So with that, Brad, let's start off with one of the more exciting things we've done recently is our In the Know campaign. So if we can get our first slide up of CMLS is in the know. And Brad, if you talk a little bit about this, we just launched this at our conference a week ago with CMLS in the Know campaign that is the value of the MLS targeted to speak to consumers.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the missions that we had this year for our organization was to really get the name of the multiple listing service in front of the consumer. And one of the things that we talked about at length was when a seller is meeting with their potential listing agent, does the topic come up? Does the question get asked, is my house going to be listed on the multiple listing service? And that is really the core function of the In the Know campaign, is to get that message out, get the consumer to understand what the multiple listing service is, why it's so important for their house to be listed on the multiple listing service, and to bring that awareness and to really show the value both to the agent, the broker, and all of our members of what we really do. It's not behind the scenes, but sometimes to the sellers and the buyers, it is behind the scenes. And so we want to bring that to the forefront and really show the value of what this industry does.
Love it. And if we go to the next slide, this next one shows the value that the agent and broker can use to talk to their consumers about it. What value? Because we did some consumer surveys and they just didn't quite understand what it was, but when we talked about it in pretty plain English, they really appreciated it. So we're hoping that our members will use this. The previous slide had a website address that was all the assets and everything we've put together that you can use to put your own name, your own organization's information on it to get out there. But this one is targeted specifically to consumers and agents and brokers to use when talking about the value of MLS. So I'd encourage you to go there, multiplelistingservice.org, and check it out. It's pretty cool stuff. So any questions,
Denee,
ask us about it.
Yeah, Denee, how does this help with the fair housing issues that we hear about so much in the media? Where do you think this campaign can help with that?
You know, Brad, it's a great point. The heart of our industry is built on cooperation, and one of the biggest values of the multiple listing service is an open and transparent marketplace. And having all of the listings in there that everybody has access to, all of the listings are in there for everyone to see and available. I think it's just a key part of what we talk about as cooperation, transparent, and efficient marketplace. So I think right now especially, it's just a great time for everyone to really look into this and utilize this messaging to advance not only the value of the multiple listing service, but advance fair housing. So thank you for bringing that part up as well.
Yes.
The next thing we've been working on is our participant data access policy, which would be the next slide. PDAP, because again, as I mentioned, acronyms. This is a policy that CMLS crafted last November that was passed for brokers having access to their own data. So Brad, if you want to talk a little bit about this, because this was a policy that CMLS crafted from scratch that did make its way through the process.
Yeah, I think I don't want to call this a no-brainer policy, but I think it's a codification of a policy that really, if MLSs were not doing this beforehand. It just shows you kind of the areas of the lack of sophistication amongst some MLSs, and then also the sophistication amongst others. And really, this policy just codifies and makes sure that if a broker wants access to their data, the data that they put into the MLS, then they should have the right, and the MLS should have the delivery mechanism to give that information back to the broker. Brokers use this for all kinds of things. They use it for their own internal metrics. They use it for agent production numbers. They have a number of uses that they would want this information to be part of. So in the grand scheme of things, the policy was an important one. CMLS went to bat for the policy and for our brokers and for members who really needed this codified, put in place the draft language, brought it to the National Association of Realtors, their MLS Technology and Emerging Issues Advisory Board. It went through that committee, passed that committee, then went to the MLS Issues and Policy Committee, passed that committee as well, and then was passed by the NAR Board of Directors in a very overwhelming fashion. And what this did is it shows you the value of what CMLS can do. Our membership is an important group who really sees the value of what we do for the consumer, for the agent, the broker, and this policy is just one of many coming that will help our industry move forward in a positive way.
I love it. And I think the last piece what we've got on the screen here is we called for a work group to help identify how can this be implemented. So there is plenty of MLSs that were already doing this, but we brought together members from all across the country to share how this can be done. So even if you're already doing it, this is a great resource to look at. Maybe you want to update or see what other ways can be done. And if you weren't doing it, then this is a great resource for you to access to see about implementing it, because the due date is coming up for this policy to be implementation date. So please check out this resource. And I think that takes us to our next topic, Brad, which I want to congratulate you on, because I think you're doing an excellent job leading the way here. And that is you had a press release recently about your conversion. UtahRealestate.com is converting to all API usage. So can you take a second here and tell us what does this mean? What does this really look like in everyday life, and why is it different than what we've been hearing about API usage?
So what we heard about was back in 2018, we had a group of MLS CEOs who said everybody needs to be on the web API by 2019. And then 2019 kind of came and went, and there wasn't a lot of I don't think there was really the leadership to push API forward. And so we decided as an organization, we're a homegrown system, that we would get our API into a level where we could distribute every single one of the fields in our MLS, whether they're RESO Data Dictionary Platinum certified or not, whether they're a local field. And we took that opportunity to build out the API so that any vendor, any broker, anybody who wanted to use our API would have a seamless ability to grab data from our new technology, just like they would have via the older RET standard. And so what we found was that we really thought we needed the leadership to push this along. And so I wanted to be bold, and I wanted to take that bull by the horns and say, you know what, we're gonna push this. We're gonna get it done by January of 2021, and hopefully, as we convert a lot of these vendors, they are the same vendors across the nation. It will pave the way for those vendors being able to do this for almost every other MLS in the country. And hopefully will speed up the process of getting us to a place. And this is what I say, where there's a will, there's a way. But here, the way has been there for a while. The API has been around. Everybody knows how to use it. The vendors, the brokers. It's now just the will. It's the will of leadership at the MLSs to say, we're going to move forward. We're going to take that step, and we're going to move from point A to point B. And that's really what this is. This is moving from older technology. Yes, it still works, to newer technology that we need to build a backbone for the future.
So it's a little bit of extra work, a little bit of pain points, but it's a matter of, in order to advance our industry, we got to take it and do it and work through that, so that we can better support the brokers and the agents to provide the tools needed of the consumer demands. That's what I'm always talking about now. It's the consumers demanding it. So as the MLSs, we got to power those professionals to make it happen.
Yep. And I look at it this way, they can still build a 5 1/4 floppy disk for a computer, and those would still work. But no one wants to use that technology, right? It will work, but we're using USB-C now, right? Every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, there's advancements in how technology operates, and we just have to get there, and we have to get there quicker. And I think, just like you said, it's RESO does a great job of putting out the standards. MLSs need to grab those standards and run with them and lead the way there, and we'll move a little bit faster if we do that.
Great. And I think the people listening here are the ones that can help us lead the way and get this done. So congratulations on that, and excited to hear about how that progresses. I think January is your date, right? January 2021?
Yes. Yep. It's coming quick.
And communication, I think I heard you talk about this. Communication is the other key on that, is making sure you're communicating with your vendors. So I'll leave that part in there, and that will take us into, as we talk about communicating and advancing policy, this next piece will be about CMLS's plan for policy going forward, and what we're looking to do to continue to solve those pain points for brokers and agents. And so if you will share with us a little bit about what we're looking to do at CMLS for the spring. So next year's, what's on the docket for us?
Sure. I mean, I think what we've tried to do over the past few years as an organization, and Denee, you've led the way here, is really listening to the key constituents, right? The brokers, the agents, the MLSs, NAR, the players in our industry who make things happen. And one of the things that we heard about was actually at a RESO meeting, I think last year, there was a work group, a broker work group, where they were talking about some pain points with data access and data feeds. And we wanted to take that and listen to those concerns. And what the policy has been kind of referred to colloquially as the NOW policy, which is really a broker back office feed policy, and making that policy easier for vendors and brokers to get from MLSs without any type of hassle. I think, Denee, you want to talk about how we want to engage on this and how we want to bring our constituents and the key players forward to kind of analyze this?
Absolutely. So as we referenced earlier in the participant data access, it was a call for a work group that produced the resource about implementation. And we want to do the same thing here. So you'll be seeing a call for participants who are excited and interested in working on putting something together that will explore, basically I'm calling it how we can more efficiently deliver data, right? How can we start solving those pain points by looking at more efficient delivery of the data, and question how have we always done it, and how can we do it better going forward? So we'll be on the lookout for that. And so we'll be looking to put together both the policy, but also some best practices and an implementation guide as we go into the springtime next year for the Emerging Issues, Technology and Emerging Issues Advisory Board, which meets in March of next year. So we will go at that meeting with all of those items already prepared that has been input from all of the communities. We talk about communication being the most important thing. It's already had input from the industry, the brokers, the agents, the vendors, and the MLS community, really driving that to say, how can we best deliver on that? And then we'd go through the NAR process at that point. But that we've really done our homework as an industry to put something together that is collaborative and informed, and thought about it from several different angles so that we have a really solid approach to solving some of these pain points.
Yeah, and I think the communication part is key. I think one of the pain points that we see and we hear talked about frequently is if a vendor is dealing with an MLS, and let's say they have multiple products. So they have maybe an IDX website product, maybe an agent recruiting product, maybe a CMA product. And what the MLSs sometimes will do is they'll set them up with 3 separate licensing agreements, 3 separate sets of credentials. And it makes it very difficult for the vendor, right? It's just more administration, more parsing of data. And some of the things that I think the NOW policy and what CMLS has done when they wanted to rewrite the IDX and VAL policies and help make those more modern is to really say, what is the most efficient way to get data to the vendors and the brokers? Is that provide them with one feed and then licensing agreements that restrict the types of fields they can use for their different products? In that case, that's what we do at my MLS. That allows the vendor to be a little more nimble and to utilize the data for what they need it for and are licensed to do, and they're restricted restricted by that license. So I think just modernizing and talking about how to modernize the contractual process as well as the data feed process, that's what this is all about. And it's all about getting a good proposal forward that our key players in the industry can support as we move forward in 2021.
Yeah, that's a great description of it, Brad. And so I would ask anyone listening that is interested in that, please keep an ear out or an eye out for the email that will be coming out for that work group. If it's not already in your inbox already, any questions or ideas about it, we would love to hear from all of you. And as we just continue at CMLS to work to make the market work, support our members and the industry overall, we appreciate all your support and input and appreciate you listening in today.
Thank you.
Thank you.